course, the corruption trial against former President Jacob Zuma and Thales has been postponed to the 8th of September. For more on this, I'm joined via Skype now by our politics editor, Sbu Ngalwa. Sbu, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's just look at what transpired today in court, hearing arguments from each side. Can you break down the arguments presented forth, perhaps upon the announcement of that adjournment come the 8th of September?
I think, Lisa, as expected, the issue of the start of the trial became a contentious one between the state and the defense around when this trial should start. But I think one of the most interesting things coming out of there is actually the attempt by Zuma's team to get the trial struck off the roll, which obviously the judge didn't. That was quite a surprising one. I think that's what they had prepared for, and they were taken by surprise when Advocate Billy Downer actually said that if the court so decrees or so decides that the judge, that the case resumed in October, that then they are willing to do so. So I think that the Zuma team was actually kind of taken on the back foot on that particular one. But I think this will be interesting now, what happens between now and the September when the matter goes back to court, Lisa.
All right, so Sbu, then walk us through what is going to happen from now perhaps until he has to return to court. I mean, there's the issue of the costs as well that also surfaced during the proceedings.
Obviously, I think for the Zuma team, it was important for them to continue to project Jacob Zuma as the victim of the state machinery. I think that will actually go a long way in terms of Zuma supporters, where he's seen as a man who's being victimized by a powerful government. As you would know, that I think it was Advocate Kakane made the point that deliberately that Jacob Zuma is a pensioner and that the state is not paying his costs and that they're paying their own fees. I think it's in line with the line that has been taken by the Zuma team to actually project him as a victim of the state, and that actually they are not responsible for the delays. And I think that they also wanted to show up that the state has actually not been precise, to show the state not to be truthful in saying that they were ready. But I think that Advocate Downer also had compelling arguments to say why they cannot proceed or how they were affected by COVID-19.
Sbu, on the issue of the warrant arrest being cancelled, I mean, what's your take on what transpired in that front?
I think it's more a symbolic one, because I think at the time when, and quite symbolic, but also significant as well, in that when that warrant of arrest was issued, it was actually stayed, not that Jacob Zuma was not going to be hounded to jail the moment he landed, but it was to say that he has to appear at the next appearance, which was the 6th of May. So I think for the Zuma team, the fact that a warrant of arrest had been issued to him, and also if you recall that the lawyer who was representing Zuma at the time was Daniel Mancha, who actually didn't do very well in that particular case, and actually putting the issue of Zuma's sickness and also the sick note, he was actually found wanting, for a lack of a better phrase. And so I think it was important for the Zuma team to put the matter on the record and actually make sure that they clean the slate insofar as their client's reputation on that matter is concerned.
Sbu, you of course were monitoring the proceedings rather closely and looking at the mood, the atmosphere leading up to the proceedings, of course, and when the judgment was announced. I mean, what was your take on both sides in terms of their confidence going into this pre-trial, etc., and since that judgment had been handed down?
Look, it's in the nature of lawyers appearing in court to always appear boisterous and confident. But I think that what the Zuma team would have wanted to show, and which to an extent they have achieved in doing, is to actually show Zuma as a law-abiding citizen. That's regardless of the number of times that actually he has delayed the court case by going to court. But at the same time, by the flip of the coin, you can argue that he was exercising his right by doing so, and actually him being in court when he was not expected to do so given his age. And I think that that's all part of the Zuma Zuma, the team's strategy to always have him present in court, regardless of the lockdown regulations and the fact that he may, because of underlying conditions, he may be susceptible or vulnerable to COVID-19.
All right, and then Sbu, I have to wrap up the conversation, but I just want to look at the overall context of this trial, of course, and what it means for the legal implications for the African National Congress and for some senior members in South Africa. I mean, can you contextualize this for us?
Look, this trial has been in the making for years. I mean, Jacob Zuma's legal woes started as far back at the time when Shabar Sheikh was charged, and they've been toing and froing. So I think it only makes sense that it proceeds, and when it proceeds, there are no delays. So I think that's where the state and the defense kind of agree, and I think South Africans also want that as well. Insofar as the ANC is concerned, the reality is that the ANC has suffered considerable, irreversible, I would say in some extent, damage over the years because of corruption and also weaknesses in leadership, and some of those weaknesses were underlined by the Zuma presidency. So I don't think that in terms of damage there's anything that more that it can do to the ANC's brand that has not been done before. Yes, there will be embarrassing details that will emerge in court, and the ANC may be embarrassed once again when some of those details implicate some of their leaders. But I think in terms of the current leadership of the ANC, I think South Africans are able at discerning and are distinguishing between the Cyril Ramaphosa leadership and the Jacob Zuma leadership. And I think insofar as this trial is concerned, I don't think that Cyril Ramaphosa or his leadership in any way tainted.
All right, Sbu Ngalwa, politics editor. That's where we leave it for now. Of course, just giving us his take on the judgment handed down by Judge Kate Pillay in regards to the adjournment of the matter of the case involving former President Jacob Zuma and, of course, the French arms manufacturer company Thales.